Welcome on in. It's a new week here on Betting Weekly WTA, and there is nothing better to start the new week on the Women's Tennis Tour after a big winner with Jessica Pegula cashing for us at 10-1 last week to cap what has been a very, very good start on the show here on 2026. As well as that, we had a clean sweep on our first round matches thanks to the advice from our WTA handicapper, Tim Dennis. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Nigel. How are you? Good to see you.
No, I'm not very well, actually. I've been waiting an hour and a half to do this show after all your technical issues. So come on, hurry up. I'm ready to go now into the bet. So just making sure that you do know how to work that Betamax video recorder you've got, don't you?
Yeah, the VHS is just plugged in, and I think it's uploading.
It was like watching your granddad trying to explain to him how to work the new colour television. It was quite painful, to be fair, last half hour. But we're here and we're back on the winner.
Colour TV? Good. Mine's black and white, I think. Yeah,
exactly. A good winner last week with Jessica Pegula.
Yeah, and an excellent week. Yeah, it just goes to show you in tennis betting, doesn't it? I think the week before in Doha, I was sort of sometimes almost asking yourself why you bother doing it, putting the time and the effort in, and then sort of Coco Gauff gets beaten her first match. Noskova loses a final set tiebreak, and Mertens gets sort of played off the court when she probably shouldn't have even been on it. And then a week later, it's 3+ money winners all in the same day, and a tournament winner. So yeah, much better this week, and very, very enjoyable watching Pegula. We spoke about how she brings a certain level every week, doesn't she? And that level was good enough to get it done this time. So yeah, really enjoyable week.
She is in action this week. Well, supposedly in action this week in Austin in the 250, right back down to earth with the bang after winning 1,000. It's what we got this week. We've got back to earth with the bang after 2 weeks of 1,000 events. We've got a 500 in Merida in Mexico and a 250 in Austin in Texas. Just to show you how well we've been doing on this show, this is our list of winners so far. WTA Brisbane, we gave Marina Sabalenka at plus 225. Elina Svitolina at $4 won in Auckland. Elisabetta Cocciaretto at 50-1, the winner in Hobart. And Jessica Pegula adds to that roll of honours at 10-1 in Dubai. And when you look at the figures at the top corner, you might be thinking, well, why are they minus money? Because we do not class the outright picks on when we do not have any odds. We just go through the bracket, give you the way the market we feel should go, and give you our idea of a winner. So unfortunately, it would have made a difference of about 50 points, I suppose. We should be 44 points up on the year so far, or 48 points up on the year. But we are still on the negative on our match bets, but that will change, I'm sure, going into this week. Bit disappointing, isn't it? Tournaments that we've had the winner on, we can't claim anything on the figures.
Yeah, a little bit frustrating to see that figure in minus money. I think the only tournaments we've put up with odds previously, I think obviously the Australian Open and last couple of weeks in these 1,000 events, and unfortunately, I think the only tournament picks like we've put up there haven't done the business, and all the ones we haven't had odds we've put up as soon as we've found something, and yeah, you can see the results themselves there with those 4 winners there. So yeah, nothing to complain about, and if they run the figures, we'd be massively into the plus, and I think we all still are, and I think anybody who follow these shows, they should be pretty happy with how it's going, because you look at those numbers and yeah, they're great results.
Hopefully we can add to that, but I think these tournaments this week are a little bit tricky. I think there'll be a few withdrawals, as there was last week. And a staggering amount of withdrawals last week in Dubai. How many was it in the end? There was about 20 withdrawals in the women's draw?
I think it was 24 with withdrawals before the tournament and retirements during the tournament as well. I think it was 24 in total. So, I mean, absolutely sort of flabbergasting this early on in the season to see players either not want to play from the beginning or retire during the tournaments due to illnesses or injuries or whatever it may be. But yeah, quite sensational stuff.
Yeah, incredible stuff. And I expect a few withdrawals this week after a lot of the players travelling from Dubai to Austin, Texas. And that's where we're going to start this week. We're going to start with a tournament in Texas, the 250 event stateside, where I gather, I would imagine, the weather's perfect for tennis.
Yeah, it is pretty much. It's going to be dry all week, so there shouldn't be any interruptions going on. The temperatures do sort of fluctuate a little bit. I think Monday it starts at sort of quite a cool 60 degrees Fahrenheit, a little bit hotter on Tuesday up to 70, much hotter on Wednesday up to 81, and then cooling down Thursday and Friday to the low 70s before hotter again on Saturday and then cooler again back to 70s on Sunday. So I think it is up and down a little bit throughout the tournament, which might make the court conditions play obviously a little bit quicker when it's hotter and a little bit slower when it's cooler. But yeah, keep an eye on those days because it does fluctuate from Monday through to Sunday.
Now, we don't have much trends because this tournament's only been going for 3 years. And there's the list of previous winners. Jessica Pegula won it last year. She's here to defend the title. Well, she's supposed to be here to defend it. We'll come on to that in a minute. She beat McCartney Kessler in the final last year. Yuan Yi won it in 2024. Marsha Kostyuk won it in 2023. And Gracheva was the runner-up, or Wang was the runner-up, and McCartney Kessler, as I said, was the runner-up last year. It's not really many trends to have, but what have you found? You know, there's only 3 tours, but what have you found the key trends to find a winner here?
Yeah, well, a seeded player has won it every year. Jessica Pegula was the only number 1 seed to win it so far in those 3 years, and she obviously won it last year. The 2 previous years, it was won by the number 8 seed in Wan and Marta Kostyuk. So, yeah, seeded players, even though it's only going 3 years, have won it each year. Looking at the stats, the court conditions, they're almost identical to what we saw in the Australian Open. I think the service hold percentage last year was 66.1%. So those conditions sort of match up extremely closely to sort of Australian Open figures. So I think as far as court speed go, it's kind of a medium pace if it's the same as last year, which we expect it to be.
Yep, so we're looking for players who can like it, but it's fast, players who like it quite quick, similar to the Australian Open, probably similar to what they just played in Dubai, really. And Pegula, if she plays, will be a decent favourite given the draw she's had. And this is the draw, this is the projected last 16. Obviously, there's seeded players there of what we were saying who they will play, but you know it never plays out that way. Jessica Pegula will play McNally, the number 7 seed, 1v7, but there also is McCartney Kessler in there, who could be a repeat of the final in the quarterfinal. We've also got Shramkova, who Pegula starts with, and Andreescu, Bianca Andreescu, former US Open champion. Wang will play Gracheva, number 3 and number 5, and that completes your top half of the draw. In the bottom half of the draw, very weak there. Bondar, the number 6 seed, will play Stearns. Marchenko, the young Croatian girl, number 8 seed, will play Eva Jovic, who's been in great form, but she could run into Serena Williams in round 2, one of the youngest stars in tennis, against one of the oldest stars in tennis as well on the women's game. There are some dangerous opponents lying in wait, but these are the current odds with BetRivers now available on the app. We don't usually have odds, but we have some odds here, so we'll be able to give you some advice with some official plays as well. Jessica Pegula is the market favourite to win back-to-back titles here and back-to-back titles after last week, successfully defend her title. She's 2-1 to do so. Eva Jovic is plus 245. Wang is $6. Peyton Stearns 10. Katie McNally 13, Taylor Townsend 14, Gracheva 14, Lulu Sun 22, Bianca Andreescu 25, Kruger 25, Marchenko is 25, 30-1 Tom Lanovich, 31 Birrell, 30-1 Rakimova, and 35-1 bar those players. It's a difficult one, really, this one here, because Pegula, will she participate? Will she come here looking to win this 250 after a great run so far this year? And obviously the market has factored that there is a withdrawal for her and shortened up Eva Jovic quite drastically with the potential of Pegula not showing up. So the 2 market leaders are the 2 to beat if they play. And then you've got to delve into the, to sort of lesser known players. What's your strategy here, Tim?
Yeah, well, that's the $1 million question at the moment, isn't it? On will Pegula show up? She's obviously committed to this tournament because she won it here last year, but she wouldn't have known she was going to win Dubai. Obviously, she was hopeful she'd win, but now she has won it. Is she?
We knew.
We knew. Yeah,
she might know. We knew.
Yeah, as she's won it, is she going to commit to coming here? I know she flew home from Dubai last night, so she'll be back in the States now. But obviously, having played all week there in a final yesterday, and sort of the flight back. And there's no buys for these players. So these seeds, 32 player field, there's no buys. So they're going to be having to play first round matches, Pegula here. So that's sort of the key thing. If we knew one way or the other, like you say, Jovic has shortened up on the doubt that Pegula might not play. So the value looks to have been sort of sucked out of her now. Obviously, if Pegula doesn't turn up, that plus 245 might probably look a bit of value. But if Pegula does start, the 245 probably looks fairly short. And then you're kind of looking to where else do you want to go? A few interesting players. Obviously, got Tomljanovic plays Venus Williams down there in her first round at the bottom. But Jovic does look the most likely player to me. But I do think the value's been sucked out there a bit. What do you think about that, Nigel?
Well, the first thing I would say is Jessica Pegula has to travel 7,145 miles to go from Dubai to Austin, Texas, which is a 24-hour flight, which doesn't include stopovers. So my guess would be that she will not be participating in this tournament. And if she does, then for me, she's a massive fade at $2. Going through, I didn't know we were going to have odds, so I went through the potential path of each player to get here, and I made Pegula 2-1 to win this. That was the price I made her. That is a Pegula who's taking this tournament quite seriously. A Pegula who isn't showing any signs of jet lag or any exhaustion after winning Dubai. I made her 2-1. So if you factor that in, the 2-1 is probably, well, it is no value whatsoever. Eva Jovic, to me, come out as closer to 5-1, between 4 and 5-1, around about 450. But that is on the basis of Jessica Pegula in the tournament. If Jessica Pegula doesn't go in the tournament, she probably is a 245 shot. So what these prices are priced up generally on the basis that Jessica Pegula doesn't play. They've got a price in there for Pegula, which is the right price, but the rest of the prices have definitely factored in that she doesn't play. The problem is I think Jovic is the obvious play, but she's too short, far too short at 245, and I'm really struggling to find where I can attack any value elsewhere.
Yeah, I would completely agree. I think Jovic is the one that stands out if Pegula doesn't turn up, but then do you want to be backing her at plus 245? I don't really think you do, because like you said, the value's been sucked away there. But then if I'm not looking at Jovic and Pegula's not taking part, I mean, looking through the draw, I'm struggling to find a name that I'd want to get with. I mean, you've got Bianca Andreescu there is probably a big name, but can she string together a tournament and stay fit? Huge question marks about that. I guess maybe Shramkova might be a little bit interesting if Pegula doesn't have to play Pegula in that first round. She's probably going to end up getting a lucky loser, or not a lucky loser, a qualifier in there instead, who probably would have ended up being a lucky loser actually. So she might be interesting at a sort of a plus 4,500 price straight off the bat there. But it does look extremely tricky to find the winner, with doubts over who's going to compete and the price of Jovic being a lot shorter than we'd expect it to be.
So if we're looking at this market here, I'm obviously Shramkova is quite an interesting one, because if she's 45-1 now with Bet Rivers, if we on the basis that Pegula doesn't play, then she will probably be half that price, probably 20-1. So that could be an angle to attack to get a bit of value before the tournament starts. And even if Pegula does play, Shramkova's got a great chance of beating her, because she's not going to be at it. There's no way after that long flight, anyone who's travelled a lot, you will know, especially this kind of distance, you're not going to be at it straight away. They'll give her a day off rest or a couple of days off rest, but I still think fatigue is going to play a huge factor there. I mean, I was looking at Q2. I mean, I would say that the top half is slightly, well, Q1 is actually the toughest quarter in the whole section, I think, with Shramkova, Andreescu, Pegula, McNally, and Kruger in there. But I think that the Q2 is the interesting one for me, because like a lot of these draws, we've got 4 qualifiers in this section, and we don't know who the qualifiers are. You've got Kucheva, who's playing well. Varvara Kucheva is playing well. I mean, she got beat by Pegula in Dubai. She beat Noskova in Doha, got beat by Zachary, but she's playing okay. But she's beatable. Obviously got beat by Rybakina, but she's beatable. But I think this is another Cocciaretto scenario where once we know the qualifiers, we might find a player in Q2 that we can attack this draw with either tomorrow or later on today, and we'll probably know the situation with Pegula. But I think Q2 with those 4 qualifiers could offer someone in there who could come in at a very big price and almost hit the semi-finals exactly the same as Cocciaretto. If we look at the bottom half of the draw, Jovic obviously is in great form, 13 wins, 4 losses. And all 4 of her losses has come to people who've gone on to win the tournament. Svitolina, Cocciaretto, Zabalenka at Australian Open, and Pegula. Every single one, she's gone on to win the tournament. But I don't think there's a bet here we can advise. In my personal opinion, you might find something, you might like something. But for me, I don't think there's a bet I can advise here without knowing what is happening with the defending champion and knowing who those qualifiers are who come into Q2.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you there. I think the one I would mention that we briefly touched on there earlier, I think we can see that Jovic price has shortened up massively as far as the Pegula situation goes. I'm not sure it's shortened up in the same way with Shramkova at plus 4,500. as Pegula isn't playing there as it has with the Jovic. So that might be one I might be half tempted with. Do I see her going on to win the tournament? Perhaps not. But as far as a value bet goes, plus 4,500 might be a very small way of finding an angle, because I don't think that price has changed as far as the Pegula situation goes. I'm going to have to agree with you, finding it extremely difficult to have a strong opinion on this match. I think if somebody put a gun to my head, I'd probably like Jovic, but do I want to be backing her at plus 45, plus 245? Probably not. I think that's probably around about the right price, and if a fraction short also. So I think at this stage it is just a watching brief, and hopefully we can find some angles on first round matches. There are some interesting ones to look at as we go, so we'll be covering those on a different show. So I think for the time being, that looks the best way to go to me, just sticking, getting involved on individual matches.
Yeah, I mean, I like if Pegula doesn't play and Shramkova gets in, she'll get a lucky loser. She could beat the lucky loser. Andreescu probably isn't there. Well, she's not the player she was. McNally Kruger, that's winnable. Wang, Gracheva with 4 qualifiers, that's winnable. So, I mean, I wouldn't put you off having a quarter unit stake on Shramkova if you think 40. I mean, if we believe Pegula's not going to play, then we will be on someone who's going to be 22 to 1 this time tomorrow or later on today. So, you know, if you want to have a quarter point each way and have a bit of interest, we might as well do it, because we'd be kicking out if she won it.
Yeah, I suppose we could do, because I think the organisers are going to do everything in their power to make this as an opportunity for Pegula to play. They're going to get her on as late as they can. They're going to want her here, but then it's obviously up to Pegula whether she plays. And I think chances are, having the distance she's covered, you've mentioned on that flight there, chances are she's probably not going to play, is she? So if plus 4,500, yeah, let's have a quarter of a point each way on Shramkova, just a purely a value-based play.
I think I'll be plus money. Jessica Pegula turns up in Austin. And if you want to see when the qualifiers come out, if there's any value in Q2, I will post a video on our Instagram account, which where the Cocciaretto pick was. And you can go to Instagram because we've been across all our socials and have a look at that. The Instagram account is growing rapidly. If you bet with Bet Rivers in New York or New Jersey, you can take advantage of a Champions League bonus bet from Betting Weekly. Enter the bonus code BW216 for a $10 bonus bet to be used on the Champions League knockout round matches. That code again is BW216, and it's available to Bet Rivers bettors in New York and New Jersey. The offer ends on February the 25th, must be 21, eligible players only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE, HOPE-NY. I did say we have another tournament, and we do, so don't worry too much. We will have some advice on this one. Unfortunately, we've got no bets, no prices yet in Merida, but we will break down the bracket here. Over in Mexico, where the weather here will be nice and warm, and it'll be perfect conditions for women's tennis.
Yeah, a little bit similar to the other tournament. The weather is going to be sort of fluctuating. I looked on Monday and Tuesday; it's going to be in the mid-70s, which is just nice for tennis. Wednesday it gets up to 84. And then Thursday and Friday, it really warms up into the low 90s. But then it does look a little bit, showers are intermittent on Saturday and Sunday. So there could be the sort of semi-finals and finals might be a sort of little bit interrupted here, possibly even delayed. So keep an eye on that weather. But yeah, fluctuating from sort of mid-70s at the start of the week up to the low 90s Thursday and Friday. So again, even though the court conditions here are going to be extremely slow, it will play a little bit quicker than when it's slightly warmer. So keep an eye on when these matches are taking place, because it is fluctuating from in between Monday and Friday.
Now, this is a 500 event, which means more prize money and better players. But really, I would argue that this is dominated by 2 players as well, similar to the tournament across in Austin. These are the lists, again, like Austin, there's only been 3 previous tournaments here, and these are the list, a roll of honours of previous winners. Emma Navarro won it last year against Arminio Arango. I think she won that 6-love, that final. I'm sure she did. Sommes won it in 2023, 4 beat Anne Lee, and the lovely Camilla Giorgi won it in 2023, beating Rebecca Peterson. Yeah, I'm sure Navarro won 6-love last year. What are your key trends to find here in the winner in Mexico?
Yeah, I think only one seed has made the semi-finals since the tournament inception here. So obviously only a 3-year period to cover. But yeah, only one seed making the semi-finals, and only only one number one seed winning it, and that was Navarro last year. I mean, it does have a similar pattern to the other tournament in last year. Both number one seeds, both defending champions, and turned up again as number one seeds, and it just had to see if they can repeat that. But it is the slowest hard court conditions of the entire season. I think this is pretty much almost slower than even most clay courts. I think the service hold percentage last year was just 57.4%. And I think sort of 60 on my figures it is down as slow. So expect sort of lots of long rallies, lots of drawn out matches, and lots of players being able to sort of keep in the points. Extremely slow conditions here, and that's going to be something you want to keep in mind going forward into these matches.
Amazed that only one seed has made the semi-finals since the tournament inception. So it shows you looking for some of these outsiders, looking for some unseeded players. They could go deep. Only one seed has made the semi-finals, and that was obviously Navarro last year who won the tournament. She's back to defend her title. This is the projected last 8. Now, the thing you ought to mention here, the top 4 seeds all have buys through to the round of 16. So Paolini's got a buy. Anneli has a bye, Buskova has a bye, and Navarro has a bye. Paolini will play Jen. Is it Tien? Tien? How do you pronounce her name? I can't remember how to pronounce it.
Yeah, just Tien, I reckon. Yeah, Tien, yeah.
Shen. Paolini will play Jen. Lee will play Yastremska. That makes your top half of the draw. Buzas Renero will play Buskova, and Magdalene will play Navarro. Now, this isn't really, I mean, some of these seeds are not great. I mean, there's got to be opportunities for unseeded players to come through, especially with those stats as well. If we look at some of the dangerous opponents, if we go into Q1, we have Paolini, we have Bolter, Haddad Meyer, and Chien will play Camila Osorio, who loves it as slow as possible. What do you like in that? I mean, Paolini's got to be a fade the way she's playing at the moment. She's not playing at all well.
Yeah, I think so. Who do we think is going to be favourite here, Nigel? Do you think Paolini's going to be favourite, or Navarro, or kind of joints?
I did my odds. I did my odds. I make Paolini around about a 3-1 chance and Navarro around about 4-1 chance. That was my
Paolini.
Yes,
she's obviously coming here trying to find a little bit of confidence, isn't she? She's been pretty dismal start for the season for her, so maybe she's coming here to try and hopefully pick off a slightly weaker field. But being a 500, this I think this event is more competitive than the one we've just spoke about. And obviously in her quarter, you've got Katie Bolt, who's already won a tournament already this year. She's got a tricky first match against Haddad Meyer, who's another player looking to find some form, and Chen also in that section. So I tend to agree. I don't think Paolini's probably a fade here for most, and you could kind of add me to that list. Players that are interesting, obviously the conditions extremely snow. That will suit Navarro, as she showed when winning this last year. They'll also shoot players like Magdalene, Marie Buskova, Magdalena Freck. A lot of these players will like these slower conditions. I'm not sure they're going to suit Yastremska too much, so I think she'd be a fade for me, and she's been sort of very in and out of form so far this year. She's shown some good stuff, but the majority of it has been very poor. So you definitely want a player who suits these conditions, and maybe when the odds come out, it'll be interesting to see. But Buzas Minero, she's another one, probably looking for a bit of form, but again, big clay court specialist. She liked these conditions. But Osorio, she's another one to mention, as you spoke of there. Much slower. She had a decent victory. I think she was going to beat Raducanu anyway without her retiring early on in Dubai last week. So she's been playing some pretty good stuff. So we'll have to see what the odds are when they come out. But I think Paolini's a fade, and I'd be fading Yastremska as well, would be my two against the field there.
Q1, Paolini, I think that's the toughest quarter of the whole section. Bolter, Haddad Meyer, Osorio, Chien. I think that is a really, really, really tough quarter, and I think Paolini's a fade. Q2, with the likes of Lee, Sonmez, Buxa, Vekic, Yastremska, I think is a real weak section. If you can pick the bones out of that, someone to get through to the semi-finals, you've got a chance of going deep. I mean, you've mentioned Vekic. I think Sonmez, she's a girl that's won this tournament before, loves it slow. I think she's got a great chance in that draw, playing quite well as well. Q3, we have Buzas Minero, Freck, Aranga Potapova, and Buskova. Again, pretty weak section. And in Q4, Magdalenette, Puntetseva, a lot of qualifiers, and Emma Navarro. So where do you see? I mean, Paolini, we're agreeing, is a fade. She was very likely to be the tournament favourite. I think Navarro is going to push her close. She's defending her title here. We know she likes it, the conditions. We know she likes the the condition and this tournament, having won it last year, are we looking at her to win it, or are we looking at someone perhaps at a bigger price to come through, maybe Q2 or Q3?
Yeah, well, I think that Q4 does look very weak. She's obviously got a bye there in her first round, Navarro, and then she's going to end up playing a qualifier, whoever that qualifier may be. And then if she beats that, she's obviously going to be into the quarterfinals, where you'd imagine she'll probably end up playing Magdalene or Putin Saver. And I think probably Magdalene would be the one I'd be looking at there to get the better of that section. So I think Navarro looks the most solid if they are going to be sort of near enough her and Paolini at the top of the market. I'd rather be with Navarro because I think she looks in a far weaker section, and I'd be extremely surprised. Well, I'd be amazed if she's not in the quarterfinals, and I think she'll probably, if she gets that far, she should beat Lynette, and that would see her in the semi-finals, probably playing either Buzas-Minera or Yastremska, Buzas-Minera or Buskova. So I think Navarro is the one I probably want to be with, depending on what kind of price she is when it comes out.
Paolini has played 7 matches this year, won 3, lost 4. The 4 matches she's lost, she's been the favourite in the match. Definitely a player who is in a bit of a slump at the moment. And Emma Navarro on the year so far is 11-4. Sorry, no, she's not. She's 4-6, 4 wins and 6 losses. So that's not exactly great form. Beat by Mertens last time in Dubai, Kanevskaya, Hailey Baptiste in the round 1. Lynette, we questioned her fitness levels before as well. We thought that she didn't look that great fitness-wise. I got a feeling you might get a shock here. I like someone coming through on that Q2. I think Sommes could shock a few. The Tunisian player that I think will love the conditions. I think Azorio, if she can get past Yen, could really be. I think Haddad Meyer, well, I think she'll beat Katie Bolter. I think we've got to look for the clay dogs, the people who love it, sluggers, the South Americans. You know, that stat you made there, one seeded player to make the semi-finals. I want to look for bigger prices elsewhere. I would expect to see around about 4-1 Emma Navarro. That'd be my guess. You'll be a better at 4s, or would you want a bit bigger?
I think if I could get 4-1, I think the conditions are a huge thing with Navarro, Dubai, and that sort of that sort of Middle East swing. I think probably plays a bit too quick for her. The slower, the better for her, as she showed when winning this tournament last year. And I think you were right in saying it was 6-love in that final. So yeah, the slower conditions, the better for her. And this is extremely slow. There's a few interesting first round matches. I'm already looking to. I'll have a look at those in the next 24 hours or so. But one that did stand out was sort of Buska and Vekic early on. Vekic, a player who's sort of really struggling to find form. I thought she had a real opening in Dubai last week. I think she had her first round match was against Elisabetta Cocciaretto, who obviously did extremely well in Qatar. And then I thought she was pretty much exhausted by the time Vekic played her. I think Vekic might have even won the first set 6-love. And incredibly, to her credit, Cocciaretto came back and beat her. So that should be a real confidence sort of denter for Vekic. And I think Buska looks interesting to try and get the better of her on conditions that will really suit her. So Vekic, another one that's got a lot to prove. But I think if I could get 4-1 Navarro now, I think I'd be, if you were to offer me that, Nigel, I think I'd be taking that.
Yeah, I reckon that's about your price you'll get around about 4s. You can head across to the BetRivers app. The odds will be available as the day progresses. Probably time this podcast goes live, the odds will be there. So there are our picks. We've got an official play, a quarter point each way on Shramkova at 45-1 on the basis that we believe that Jessica Pegula will not participate in Austin, Texas. And even if she does, we think she's going to be jaded after the long travel back after winning the tournament in Dubai. So we're opposing Jess Pegula there. Funny in tennis, you want cheering on someone one week, the next week you've forgotten on. Like, move on to the next one. And over in Merida, we are looking at the tournament there. Merida, we're looking at Navarro around about 4-1. I personally would want someone a little bit from the top half of the draw to come through for an each way bet to try and get to the final. Sommes caught my attention, but we like Navarro here in these conditions as well. And if you want to check out our Instagram account at Because We Win, I'll be looking at that Q2 in Austin, where I think that is where we need to attack when we find out the 4 qualifiers, because I think with Pegula's absence, the top half is blown wide open if she doesn't play. Make sure you join us tomorrow for Betting Weekly WTA, looking at all the best bets in round one. Hopefully we continue where we left off last week with the sweep on Monday's show. And Betting Weekly Game Bet Match will be live also later on today, previewing 3 tournaments this week in Acapulco, in Chile and in Dubai. And I'll be in Dubai tomorrow covering the tournament on our socials because we've been over at the ATP tournament in Dubai. You can follow me across socials there as well. Tim, thanks very much for your company. Have a good day. Try to sort that internet out. Make sure you know what to do next time we have a problem. And hopefully we're not seeing any problems. And we'll speak all again tomorrow here on Betting Weekly WTA.